Hi friends, welcome to Lady Dynamite Creates. I'm Tiffany and today's project is a little different, mysterious and spooky, because when your daughter decides she's going as Wednesday for Halloween, you have to make a thing for her, right? First things first, I got my resin poured and hit print. I'm using blue this time because I plan to paint thing anyway and well, I've got a lot of this color left over. Now the print didn't go perfectly, the last joint on the pinky didn't quite make it, the poor guy's down a digit. I'm guessing some suction built up even with all the drain holes. No biggie though, it's an easy fix. The whole print took about 12 hours and used a decent amount of resin, so reprinting wasn't exactly on the table. Instead, I decided to repair it. But first, it gets a nice long bath and an overnight rest to let the resin and alcohol fully drain out before curing. I meant to add, I got this STL off of Thingiverse, and I'll link it below because there's several on there that are really crappy and won't print. Time for that fix. I hopped over to my slicing software, removed the supports, and re-exported the file. This way, the model keeps the exact same orientation to the build plate for the next steps. Next stop, mesh mixer. I added a plane cut, did a little fiddling, and lined it up right where the pinky failed. Since I exported straight from my slicer, it should match up perfectly. Then I deleted everything except for the pinky and exported that piece on its own. One quick trip back to the slicer and it's prepped and ready for printing again. Time to give this little guy his finger back. A little while later, the pinky's all printed and ready to go. Now both the hand and its long lost digit can finally be cured. This project's a little different because I got impulsive and well, completely gutted my art room. As you can see, it's pure chaos in here. On the bright side, I added a ton of new storage to my closet and started banishing all that sad beige paint that the previous owners left behind. Seriously, everything was beige or gray, and I'm all about bringing some life back into this space. Okay, back to the print. Let's just ignore the chaos behind me. A few rough spots from the supports are hanging out, but nothing a little sanding can't handle. I work through a few different grits until everything is nice and smooth. To reunite the pinky with the hand, I dab a little super glue and just like that, thing is whole again and ready for action. Next up, filling all those drain holes. I added quite a few to the model and now it's time to tackle them. This was a pretty big print, so I hollowed it out to save on resin, but that also meant I needed holes to keep suction pressure from turning my print into a disaster. Or at least that was the plan. Obviously, some hiccups happened. In total, I added 8 holes to the top and 1 tiny hole at the tip of each finger. I'm on a full-on scavenger hunt for my freshly mixed epoxy, and I can't find it anywhere. I check under everything on the floor, even check the trash, and then I find it smushed to my watch. Finally, I can patch that pinky transition. I smooth it with my fingers and carefully carve back in some of those little creases. I want to give a big shout out to my wonderful supporters over on Patreon. I am endlessly grateful for all of you. Angel Bookwalter, Awkward Burb, Deborah Sweeney, Jay Zur, Stephanie L, Dancing Johari, Dawlicious, Bex Mini Studio, Ellen Daria, Kitsy, Nicole Strayer, The Oak Magpie, Tara N. Once the epoxy has cured, I give it a good sanding to smooth out any rough areas, and then I can prime him. Finally, time for the fun part, painting. This is my favorite stage because you really start to see the 3D print come to life. I dive in with a base flesh color, layering a few coats until it's nice and opaque. With the base down, it's time to add some pizzazz. I spatter on some dark flesh tones for a little depth, then hit the nails with some washes to crank up the grungy factor. Let's face it, Think walks around on his fingers so his nails look like grocery store feet. Ick! Next, I grab a watercolor pencil to get into those teeny tiny scar lines. Tiny details, big impact. Now comes the trust the process moment. I started adding modeling with pale blues and purples all over the hand, then punch in deep reds on the knuckles, scars, and fingertips. It looks wild at first, but I promise it all comes together. Here he is after all the chaos, but we're not done yet. Time to add some extra grit under and around those nails. Like I said, grocery store feet, or nails in this case. Time for some airbrush magic. I spray thin layers of flesh tone so the underpainting peeks through, giving the skin depth and life. It's like the model is slowly waking up. The flesh tone does look a little bit flat, so I'm going to sponge on a second shade, just a light touch keeping the underpainting alive. I want his skin to feel human-ish. Those scar lines got a little bit muted down with all the layers, so I give them a bright little pop. Pastel time. I layer reds and browns to deepen shades and really make those scars look inflamed. The hand is starting to look seriously battle-worn in the best way. Once the colors are behaving, it's stitch time. Classic black lines, and suddenly he's stitched back together like a tiny little masterpiece of mayhem. And the final step, matte varnish. Even though it says matte, it gives the fingernails just enough shine to look natural while locking in all those gorgeous colors. And I also hit up the scars too, just to give them a bit of shine. And paint job done. Honestly, this might be my best prop I've ever tackled. Thing is officially painted and I'm beyond thrilled. Okay, confession time. I probably should have thought about how to actually attach Thing a lot earlier. But I got way too caught up in the painting excitement. I thought, sure, I'll just slap some elastic around him and call it a day. Spoiler alert, that didn't work. My next idea was magnets. I grab my rotary tool and start carving a little slot to fit a round magnet. Of course, there's going to be some touch-ups later. Planning was never my strong suit. But once the hole is ready, I stuff it with foil for backing. The print has some interior supports, but not really enough for glue to hold onto. Then it's hot glue time, and voila! Thing is almost ready to be attached properly. You might be wondering what's missing. Yep, the other magnet, of course. I grab a piece of black fabric, lather on some fabric glue, and spread it out nice and even. Then I plop the magnet right into the center and seal it up. Once it's dry, it can hide under any outfit, letting things right along on the shoulder just like the ultimate mini sidekick that he is. This works really well and is surprisingly secure. And just like that, thing is finally done. I know this isn't your typical Lady Dynamite Creates project, but I hope you had as much fun watching it all come together as I did making it. I do have a Halloween doll in the works too, although, let's be honest, it's probably going to be fashionably late. If you're on the hunt for a magical little friend to adopt right now, I have a few dolls waiting in my Etsy shop, so go take a peek. I can't thank you enough for hanging out and following along on this all-together ookie project. It was so much fun diving back into my cosplay roots, even just for a Halloween project. Every comment, like, and share really lights up my day, and I'm so grateful to share my art with all of you. Until next time, remember, always be creating.